I am Christopher Juicy Herman, and as you can tell, I'm not Corey Coleman, not in the slightest, not in any capacity, but I am joined by another person here for for the first time ever, I believe. Never seen this guy before. TJ, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent.
Everyone's talking about this hook. Covered in honey. It's trending. Listen, I'm glad you actually brought that up right now because I'm like, I want to lick that goddamn thing. I would lick it. I'll be Winnie the Pooh. I'm like, oh, honey. We have that Candyman. It's one of the latest projects that is being worked on by this individual, and you've probably seen a lot of his latest work over the years, Jordan Peele. Now, he's not directing this film. He's just producing it, and he actually co-wrote part of it. But still, when you see Jordan Peele's name on something nowadays, that brings a lot of weight to it.
It's crazy to see just how far he's progressed.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, beforehand, it's really kind of thought maybe they might be pigeonholed into comedy and how great, because they were just so fantastic at it, right? But you're seeing just how much breadth this man has, and just what's in his brain is incredible. Exactly.
No, I completely agree. It's doing film, especially Get Out, which I absolutely love. That was my favorite film of the year. It came out 2017, I believe. I liked Us. I thought I had a lot of issues. There was a lot of stuff I admired about it. I think the story was kind of...
The more you think about it, the less it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of just the structure of the film, like how it's directed, how it's shot, cinematography...
I think it's great.
It's great. I'm right there with you. But
I don't think there's anything quite like Get Out when it came out. So I understand.
No, that's why I think it just stood out, and why it's going to stand the test of time is really one of the best. I mean, maybe I'm speaking my ass, but I'll say how I feel. One of the best horror films of this current century.
I mean, because you like, I've done this to plenty of black people. I don't understand what's wrong.
I mean, yeah, it's like, shit, they finally figured it out. Damn, guys.
You call this a horror movie. This is an autobiography.
Yes.
I understand.
But for those of you who may not be familiar with Candyman, this is a kind of a spiritual successor to the original film, starring Tony Todd, who played the character in the original movie, but also the two sequels. I've only seen one of the sequels, was not particularly fond of that one. I think it was like Farewell to the Flesh or something like that. But that original film, it was kind of ahead of its time, especially because when you think of a lot of black people in horror movies, and please, again, guys, check out the video that Corey, Martin, and Billy did about kind of just like the horror films in history with black people and black culture. Black people are often kind of portrayed as like the first guy to die in a film, oftentimes. Like this was one of those films, and there was sporadically throughout the years where you would see black people in a position of leadership. Probably the most well-known one is Night of the Living Dead with Dwayne Jones. But I'd say in the last couple of decades, you started to see a bigger proliferation of black characters in horror films and in heroic roles, or even as the killers themselves. And like Tony Todd, his role as the Candyman is iconic. And that image of the guy in that, I mean, let's be honest, in that fucking pimp coat.
Quite swaggy in that.
Yeah, he does. He looks good in it. It's very unlike a lot of killers of that age. The Freddys and the Jasons and the Michael Myers, covered, always like their face is covered either in scars or it's a mask. Like, you see his face right out there. You know exactly what he is. Yeah, he looks good, but it's who he is underneath all that, I think, that makes him so appealing and in a lot of cases so terrifying. And of course, he has the iconic hook hand. A little, not much honey on that goddamn thing, more like blood and gore and things. But no, I mean, his role was iconic, and it clearly attracted Jordan Peele. And of course, that was the Candyman was the invention of Clive Barker, who's written and directed a number of films. One of my favorites being Hellraiser. So this guy, when it comes to horror, this guy knows what he's talking about.
And he has like you said before, he's built quite the rapport under him.
Yeah,
thanks to this movie alone.
No, I completely agree with you. So yeah, he's actually one of the producers on the film, so he's involved. So that's good. I always like it when you get a lot of the original people involved, even if it's in a small capacity. It's a gesture of goodwill to me, similar to when Joseph Gordon-Green and Danny McBride were producing alongside John Carpenter for the Halloween film, and that was to me that's my favorite of the Halloween films, because I thought it was a great reinvention of the original one, much in the same case that they're trying to do with Candyman. But it was just a great sequel because it was addressing different things too, the idea of like PTSD and things. And I think that's why they're doing a sort of approach here with Candyman, where it's very much similar film as the first one, but it's tackling different subjects we don't often see, certainly in horror films.
And I'm with you on that, mainly because whenever you do, I also think it's impressive because getting the original person involved not only does show a sign of great faith, but also they're there to be like, hey man, back in that original, I think this was dumb. Like I didn't have the pull and power back then, but now, you know, that it's become blown up into a franchise. We can say and do whatever we want, and like, you know, they can have that input that's creative, that's still not pulling away from the other producers' power, right?
No, I totally agree with you. And just kind of one last note before we watch the trailer, the director of the film, people have said like, oh, Jordan Peele's, he's writing, directing. No, actually not. It's this director. You may not recognize the name. Her name is, and if I can get this correct, Nia DaCosta. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is, I believe, her second feature. She did a film last year called Little Woods with Tessa Thompson. And it was like kind of a modern day Western crime thriller. It premiered at like a bunch of film festivals. I don't think it got like a wide distribution of anything, but those who saw it actually liked it a lot. Here's the poster for the movie. It doesn't tell you much, but clearly it got the attention of someone like Jordan Peele and Clive Barker, and they wanted her to do her own interpretation of Candyman. So I think that was a good, again, getting a director who may have not been familiar with one genre, but is just a goddamn good filmmaker. Mm-hmm. Again, that's saying that you may not have like a lot of experience in the genre, but you're just a good filmmaker. Come on board and do this project. So I think, again, that's another point to, I think, for this movie in general.
I love hearing stories like this where they're pulling in individuals who might not have a lot of, build up in Hollywood, but as soon as you throw on the other names, right, and put it to a name that everybody knows,
exactly,
they get a perfect opportunity to shine. And you know Jordan's not really going to step over her toes that much.
No, I don't think so. At least he certainly doesn't have a reputation like that right now. He does not seem like a producer who is just handing over the fucking production like a phantom.
We're going to hear after the production, he didn't let me say a single thing. I couldn't produce anything I wanted.
Oh, God, I hope not. But after all that, let's go ahead and check out the trailer for Candyman 2020, and we'll come back with our thoughts, guys.
Candyman.
The smartest goddamn character in the trailer so far. It's like, shut up!
Why?
We're on the if I say it, then I'm gonna die.
Why test it? Yeah. They don't need to test it.
No, it's very, very smart. Again, I like that this, even though the film, we clearly have some of these guys just lambs to the slaughter for the most part. You get that one person. It's like, no,
she was like, shh.
I love that little just.
I don't want no part of it.
Done.
I am the writing on the wall.
A couple of things I noticed about this trailer right at the top, and we kind of get into the nitty gritty of some of the details beforehand. But
what was the song they used in this?
I don't know, but it was fucking awesome. You could turn any song into a horror theme. This, I'll tell you right now, guys, like just in terms of the trailer stuff, how it's put together, a lot of great stuff here. This starts out very prototypical horror movie business. I mean, you get the various white girls in there. Just testing fate, and just all doing it. It's like, I guess nothing happened, and then he just starts slaughtering everybody.
Hey, now there's an Asian girl there too.
There is an Asian girl. I mean, she's the token Asian girl. I mean, let's be honest.
Like, why? Like, y'all at school. Don't you have class to go to? Like,
I know, right?
Who's just like, just say Candyman in the mirror?
But I love it, man, because even Candyman's like, I don't give a shit that it's school. I'm gonna kill you no matter what. Like, and that's the thing that because this trailer, and this is kind of like this character. Actually, I think I have a better picture of him right here. Now, you've seen this actor before. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. His name is Yaha Abdul Mateen II. Mm-hmm. You've probably seen him most recently in Aquaman as Black Manta. Not a great, it's not his fault. That movie wasn't that particularly good. But he's done some great work, particularly in HBO's Watchmen. Which came out last year, and I think he was in something else very
Black
recently.
Mirror?
He did Black Mirror.
He was in that episode that scarred me.
So that's why. Jordan Peele saw that episode. I was like, I want to scar TJ again.
I wasn't ready.
Yeah,
like I thought it was the most like, what just happened?
Sure. But no, I mean that's
great actor.
No, he is a great actor. Especially, I really love. He was in. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. He was in something else recently. Maybe you can help me out, chat. But he was most recently in Watchmen. He did a great. Played Dr. Manhattan. At least that new incarnation of Dr. Manhattan, because he changes his appearance so often. That was the physical form that he took for that particular series. He did a great job. But his character is very similar to the main protagonist of the original movie. Where I mean, this one, he's an artist. He's coming to a gentrified version of the real life projects, Cabrini Green, which is featured throughout the original film. It's like it's projects in Chicago, and I like that how it's basically him, much like the original main character, Helen. I believe I have a photo of her as well. Yeah, right here, where she plays a grad student who's studying urban legends and how they affect urban communities and how they buy into this kind of stuff to make an excuse for the violence that's happening during them. I mean, he's trying to bring to life this other legend just because he's obsessed with it, much like the same way that she was. And he is, in a way, like an artist or an intellectual saying, well, it's not real. I'm just trying to, bring it forward to people and say, it's like, hey, I mean, don't believe into this, but it's a part of the specific culture, much in the same way that Helen was doing. So I like that because, as Jordan Peele said and the filmmakers have said, that this is very much a spiritual successor, kind of in the same way that the original Halloween was a spiritual successor, or the most recent Halloween was a spiritual successor to that film. So I think it's cool. And if you're just going to do like a soft reboot type of thing, borrowing from the original film, I think that's perfectly fine with me.
I think that. So I haven't watched the original film.
Yeah.
And I think that just kind of going in blind, it seems like there's a lot of fascinating ideologies that are being played out throughout.
Clearly.
Right. I think that it does a great job setting up the character in terms of kind of, they're like, hey, this is how you summon him. We're being very upfront with that.
Yes.
You know the main players involved. And so it's fascinating to kind of see how things end up. There's a lot of mystique that I have questions on that I'd love to, maybe me watching the first film will kind of add some extra clarity to it.
First of all, I just like that it feels, even though this is calling it a spiritual successor, it definitely feels like a proper sequel because it's taking place at least 30 years after the original film, where we have this person, this researcher, just going into these the community of Cabrini Green and just interviewing all these different people, much like this artist who's going into a gentrified Cabrini Green and studying what originally happened and how it's influencing his art. I mean, some of this stuff visually is straight out of the original film. There's also one scene in particular I thought, because people are like, it's like Tony Todd in this movie, and I think he is in this film, because right here, that's where I would stop at. That looks just like Tony Todd in that image, because it's not the same person. That's not Abdul Mateen in the reflection. And people were wondering, like, is Tony Todd coming back for this? And I think he is. And that's cool that he's come back for this role. But much in the same way the original film does, he's always asking, be my victim. Be me, and that's what he does. He finds these people. He's not like a Jason Voorhees. I'm going to go out there and stab with a machete or just use my meat hook on things. He likes to fuck with people constantly. Like even in the original movie, he doesn't come up until like the after 40 minutes of the film.
Really?
Most of it is just this woman who's going around interviewing all these people
who are like, hey, we're dealing with this.
We've been dealing with this for years, and it's like. It's an examination of urban violence, I think, or like the idea of black on black crime and how the people that live in these places, they're blaming it on this urban legend and not like the other societal ills that are just have kind of forced them into this position. They made something up, and that is why they're always quiet about it. They don't want to talk about it because that brings that violence to life. And which I always thought was so fascinating. Because again, there's no horror movie like that at that time.
Hell no.
I mean, maybe you can compare him to someone like Freddy Krueger in the way he operates, where it's like, in that case, it's dreams, but it's also manipulating people. But he uses other people to commit his violence, and that's what he kind of does with the main character, where he's putting her in situations where she's blamed for it. And that kind of give you an idea of what the original film was like. Let's go ahead and watch the first trailer, because I want to hear other people's thoughts, including you, Chad, what you think of this so far.
Candyman.
What's up?
Why this is even in the original trailer. I mean, why are they having sex? Yeah, I'm talking about Candyman.
Candyman, he's a very sexual character, I think.
I know it's getting all sticky and like that honey, but like chill, dog.
Well, I probably should explain this to you. So Candyman, like his origin, they go into his lore and history throughout the series, but they do it the best in 2, where they explain that he was a black man living in the, I believe, mid to late 1800s, falls in love with a white woman. They have a relationship, and the white community's like, we don't like that. Who would have thought in the late 1800s someone would have an issue with that?
Not the most pertinent issue at the time.
No.
Not when I would have thought it.
So what happens is the town people get together and they beat the shit out of him. They have lacerations and things like that. They cut off his hand, put a hook on him. But that's not worst of all. They lather him in honey and they watch him be consumed by bees. And then they set him on fucking fire. Just to make sure that they did their goddamn job.
No wonder he's coming back to fuck up white people.
But it's funny you say that. Fuck up white people specifically, because most of the time he's haunting black communities. And yeah, he kills a lot of white people, sure, but because they're like, wow, I don't believe in this guy. I think it's all nonsense. You people don't know what you're talking about. And then he's like, oh yeah. Yeah, okay.
Try it.
Say my goddamn name.
Say it. Do it.
And that's what happens. That's why this character, Helen, brings him to life.
Candyman.
See, maybe I'm a sucker for like old school 90s horror movies that I'm like...
Sure.
Because that type of trailer right there, very similar beats to the new one, but I think it's just some of that campy 90s charm that elevates it for me.
We have that voice in there. It's like, you don't see what's coming. He'll get you. Like all that kind of thing.
No, I definitely, now seeing that trailer, I see a lot of the similarities that you had mentioned before.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job in terms of making it feel to the same since it seems like they're going to try and pay the old school as much homage as they can, you know.
Yeah, that's what I like. I know some people might have issues with that because that's what kind of Halloween got knocked for by some people. I mean, for the most part, it was a critically acclaimed film, especially for a Halloween film when they were producing just schlock for years. So to have a good one was great, but I like that they're going back to basics and but with a few different twists, as we talked about. I mean, gentrification has been a thing that's been going on for, decades, really, when you think about it.
Happens now.
But it happens, yeah, absolutely happens now. I mean, it's happening to our city. It's happening to Austin right now. These, expensive, these coffee shops and breweries and apartment complexes just going up in neighborhoods that... Yeah, we're relatively poor, need help, low income, exactly. That's what this is, and it's so smart because that's what's happening in real life to Cabrini Green right now, where they're changing that neighborhood and it's being gentrified. So I mean, it's just accurate, and I think that again it makes it feel more real, and that's what I like about the original Candyman. It's like yes, it's the guy with the hook on his hand, he's surrounded by bees, but just seeing like footage in the daytime, and this guy just walk in the middle of the day, just talking to you and manipulating you, and people are like, what the is wrong with this girl or something like that. I mean, we see it in this trailer right here, which I think makes it stand out. It's a thing that we don't often see in a lot of horror films, with the exception maybe of Jordan Peele's movies. Stuff like Get Out. We're kind of seeing the horror right in the bright daylight.
It's not really.
Okay, go ahead.
No, yeah, like he does a really good job of just. A lot of horror has to be done at night, right? It's just a common nature of it. And then Us has like an extended scene at night, but that's not where it prevalently takes place.
Yes.
Just like Get Out, it's not prevalently where it takes place at night. And so I do think that that's always like even in the second trailer, you're seeing this happen like right there, during the day in the bright,
fully lit room.
But fully lit rooms, there's nothing to hide.